Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Bleeding Hearts. These killer sisters will love you to death.
Written by Ken Del Vecchio and Rachael Robbins, directed by Dylan Bank, starring Dustin Diamond, Rachael Robbins, and Suzi Lorraine. Bleeding Hearts is about 5 women who once a year capture 5 men, torture them, and take their hearts. So what did we like?
I like that we were ultimately deceived for 10 minutes. In this opening scene, we got a few awesome cameos, including Tony Todd, who played God. We had Charles Durning, who played Kris Kringle or Santa Claus. And we also had Randy Jones from The Village People. Very wacky intro, but it was actually just a movie within a movie.
I actually wish that they released in the extras the short movie of that. Like, make it complete it and like have a plot, not just like pieces of it all together.
But yeah, right after that intro, we went into a story about this filmmaker making this film.
I really enjoyed the manic nature of these sisters. They were batshit crazy. They took every opportunity to like be sporadic and like, we're gonna kill you over here or we're gonna stab you over there and then we're gonna have sex with you while we're stabbing you. I loved it. It was just crazy as hell.
But they were all pretty fucking hot. Most of them got naked.
That's how we were introduced to a lot of these women. They were like talking to some guy and then they were naked.
Yeah, like when Melantha Blackthorne, who plays Susan, she's just in her office nonchalantly getting naked. We see it all, even with her clothes on. Her secretary, or whatever he was like looking at her, masturbating the whole time.
Actually, I think we saw it all from Sargon O'Dassi, who played Rosalie, our redhead, and she's got a great body. And you can see it in the dress, and then you see it out of the dress. The reveal was top notch.
It was definitely the turning point in the movie for me, because I was just like...
now I have a boner with my friends.
Yay! I absolutely loved Dustin Diamond in this film. I thought his role was hilarious, and he had great chemistry with Robert Loggia as the sheriff.
Or we all smoke a bunch of joints together. Come on!
I'm just locking you up. Deputy, cuff him!
In general, the acting was pretty solid. I think the standouts would be Robert Bogue, who played our male lead as Gary, and Rachael Robbins as Leslie. Both were very solid. We also had a nice role by Suzi Lorraine.
She did a really good job, especially when they're doing their chants, how she's like the one off in everything. It just had that light sense of humor to it.
At times it was satirical, and then at times they tried to take themselves a little more serious, especially when it came to like the torturing aspects, and then they'd make a joke immediately.
I really enjoyed the special effects, especially because we had a lot of prosthetics on the faces that were in almost every shot. I thought it was very well done for the amount that it was actually on camera, and we had a lot of up close shots, which made it really neat.
I was really impressed with the locations and the settings of this film because they only used a few different sets, but the main one being a full theater. Apparently they shot for about 10 days. They shot on Mark III 5Ds, which is really, really impressive because the cinematography looked pretty solid. The quality was good.
So what didn't we like?
I wasn't a big fan of how they played the torture / satirical game. It was a little weird because you had very intense moments and you had very comical moments and they were kind of all over the place. And that comes down to the poor pacing of the film as well. They kept cutting from, say, people getting tortured to Dustin Diamond making some jokes while he's filming a documentary. So it's really hard to stay focused, and they kept switching like every 10 minutes or so. It was a little distracting.
I didn't like how stupid the town was, and how everyone was just so oblivious that every year 5 guys would go missing.
Now what man in his right mind would want to leave Mansionville when we have the Van Houten sisters living in town?
I get that it was probably leading into the satire, but still, everyone was a little too dumb, and all the stories of us, like why they ran away, were a little too tight for my liking.
Another aspect of the story that I found needed maybe a little more exposition is Dustin Diamond's purpose for being there, because they kind of just threw him in the film and he knew about all the missing people, but he's an outsider.
I really wish they would have explained the rituals performed in this movie. We got the girls all worshiping what looks to be a mannequin head and just giving it hearts. Like, I get it that it was their mothers, but I wish it would kind of been more explained.
They never made mention to the ritual, which leads me to believe that maybe even the ritual was an afterthought. We want to have a bunch of people tortured in a theater. We'll come up with something afterwards. Because they never once shown any of the girls take a heart from any of the 5 people, nor mention taking their hearts while they were on the stage. All we were led to believe was afterwards, oh, we now have their heart.
I thought they were witches at one point.
Yep.
And then they're crazy, and then it felt like they were like just standing up for themselves, and then they're back to being crazy. Like, it was just all over the place and really confusing.
Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. I really enjoyed Bleeding Hearts. I thought the five sisters worked very well together, and I thought the way that they were crazy and insane was very well done. We just didn't know what to expect next, and they all had their own little quirks that made them all very unique, even though they were all batshit crazy. I thought the reason the sisters were killing could have been explained a little better. I also thought that the town was a little too dumb for my liking and not realistic. But with all that said, I'm gonna give this movie 3.5 tongue twisters out of 5.
Bleeding Hearts was a decent film. I thought the acting was pretty solid for a B-rated movie. The gore was fantastic, especially considering the close-ups. And I loved all of the different cameos that we had throughout. Unfortunately, I thought the story was a little weak, and I thought that the editing and the pacing of the whole film just ruined a lot of moments for me. So I'm gonna give this 2.5, hanging out with your besties and giving them petties out of 5.
I enjoyed Bleeding Hearts. I felt that the characters were really cool in this film. They were psychotic and interesting at the same time, and they provided us with a lot of comic relief. The soundtrack was very fitting to what was going on in the scene and gave that crazy, creepy feel. What I didn't like so much was the story. I felt the pacing was off, and certain things were happening without enough explanation, especially Dustin Diamond being in the film. At the end, it was still an enjoyable film with a lot of good scenes and a lot of cool twists. So that being said, I'm gonna give this 3 Kris Kringle candy canes out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below if you've seen Bleeding Hearts. If you haven't, check it out. It's from Midnight Releasing. And let us know in the comments what your favorite women torturing guys movie is. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay updated with all of our horror reviews and our games of What Would You Do. The What Would You Do for this will be coming up on Friday.